Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Chris White, a corporate trainer, and we're going to be discussing output shafts. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Really glad you stopped by. So today I think we're going to be talking a little bit about our output shafts options for our gearboxes. So as hopefully most of our customers or listeners know, we have a few different gearboxes we offer. We have our R, our F, our K, our W, and our S, which are respectively our inline gearbox, parallel shaft, helical bevel, our spiroplan, and our worm box. All of those are going to have a pretty good number of options when it comes to output shafts. So why don't you go ahead and start telling us about a few of those?
Yeah, one output shaft that's available on all of our boxes is the solid shaft, the keyed solid shaft. So it's one of the most popular because it's very versatile. You could have it, through a coupling to whatever the application is. You could have a pulley or a chain. There are a couple things you should probably keep in mind though. Overhung loads could become an issue with this box and this shaft, and also it has torque limitations because it is key driven. So all that torque is transmitted through the key.
Okay, so that's just going to be a solid shaft protruding from our gearbox, and it's going to be attached to the customer application. And there's going to be a key that's going to slide into one of their keyways, and we're off and running.
Yes, that is correct.
So what else we got?
We also have a keyed hollow shaft.
Okay.
And that's not available on every box, but it is on the F box, the S box, the K box, and the W's.
Okay.
And the right angle boxes in the F box, basically. And it works like the reverse of our regular solid shaft. So the customer's shaft would slide into the gearbox on the hollow shaft.
Okay. And that's going to be known as shaft mounted in some of the areas of industry, but that's definitely great to know. And once again, all that torque is going to be transmitted through the keyway.
That is a weakness.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think our customers have to look at some of our catalogs to see how long their keys need to be to properly transmit the torque. So we have those two keyed options. Do we have any, let's say, keyless options when it comes to output shafts?
Yes, we have the shrink disc, which is a very popular kind of industry-wide application. And we also have the torque lock here.
Okay.
And that is an SEW only shaft. And they both work off the same principle. There's a circular clamp here, and it clamps down kind of on a wedge and keeps tightening the gearbox shaft onto the application shaft.
Gotcha. So once again, our customer shaft is running through our gearbox, but now we're using kind of a clamping system, and we're going to be transmitting that torque via the entire circumference of the shaft instead of just a key?
Yes, that is correct. So you don't have that single weak point like you have with the key.
Very cool. I can see how that would definitely be advantageous for some of our customers. You said we have the shrink disc and the torque lock. They're working on the same principle, but with the torque lock being SEW specific, what are some of the advantages that torque lock has?
So when you have a standard shrink disc, the shaft has to be very, very close to the application shaft, and that requires very specific machining. And with the torque lock, we have bushings in between the customer shaft and our output shaft, and those bushings allow for almost 10 times more tolerance between the two.
Wow, that is definitely a benefit to our customers. I mean, 10 times the tolerance can definitely save you a lot when it comes to machining. Are there any other differences we should know between the torque lock and the shrink disc, or is that the main one?
That's the main one, but the bushings that also help with the tolerance, they help with the fact that they are of a non-corrosive material. So when it comes time to take the shaft out of the gearbox, it is a much simpler process, much easier process that way.
Fantastic. So we've talked about keyed shafts, we've talked about solid and hollow shafts. Is there anything or any other shaft options that SEW could supply to our customers?
Yes, we also offer a hollow spline shaft.
Okay.
And it is not the most common option, mostly because of the machining involved in that, but it is useful when you have to transmit that torque through a much more surface. So
a spline, that's kind of where it kind of looks like a star with a lot of little teeth or edges that allows it to transmit the torque across the surface area.
Yeah, so each one of those little teeth are transmitting it and distributing it.
Well, fantastic. I think that covers all of our output shafts, correct?
It does.
Is there anything else our customers or listeners should know about our output shafts, or have we just about covered it?
I think we covered it. It's a lot of options. You can get a lot more in depth on each one, but this is kind of a quick overview.
Well, fantastic. Chris, thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you for having me.